Multifamily Weekend update with your hosts, Justin Dilley and Eric Sharpe.
I think I'm always going to say Eric Sharpe from now on. I can't hear it any other way.
Yeah.
Hi, Eric Sharpe.
Hey, happy Friday, Justin. How you doing?
Happy Friday. It is May 15th, smack dab in the middle of the month of May. It's a busy month.
Oh yeah, we're about one month away from a pretty important conference in our industry.
Yeah, I mean the conferences don't stop. There's still content throughout the week and information from AIM, which I know you were at last week, and we recapped a lot of that last week. And there's plenty of hoopla coming up for Apartmentalize and a whole bunch of other events too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're rocking and rolling here. Almost midway through the year, schools are starting to shut the doors. Kids are graduating. You know, you're going to start to see couches lining the streets soon enough if you don't see it already.
Yeah, people need to celebrate, and there's only one way that I know that's really cool on how to celebrate, which is having a pizza party. That's the coolest thing. There's an episode of Parks and Recreation for all of you fans of that genre of comedy where Amy Poehler or Leslie Knope says, you know, no, I'm cool. It's like, you know, pizza, like she references pizza as a cool thing. Well, today is a day of coolness. It is National Pizza Party Day. Are you going to have pizza today, Eric?
Yeah. I mean, I love doing pizza on Fridays. We make our own pizza at home sometimes.
Yeah. Now, do you happen to recognize this this little logo button here at all? I don't know if you do, but I bet
it reminds me of books for some reason.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There was a late 80s going to the 90s, I think, for a while. I don't know exactly when they stopped it. Book It was a program that partnered with Pizza Hut, and you actually got to read for a free personal pan pizza. I was a big advocate of this. I read a lot of books in my elementary, middle school days to get some of those pizzas. Guess what?
What?
They brought it back.
What?
Last month, they brought it back. Book It is coming back. So this summer and going into the school year, you can start seeing it around probably. And, you know, even for, you know, multifamily, people are always looking for, you know, resident events. This is something you could do to kind of, especially if you have, you know, Gen Xers or millennials in your community. This would speak to them. You could host a Pizza and Pages book for kids or adults. You could also partner with a local school that's nearby and kind of help supply extra pizzas for that program. You could, you know, you could have a favorite book club / pizza thing. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff you could do. So happy National Pizza Party Day to you.
I love it. I think this is a great way to build community. Nothing easier than like going off and buying 10 pizzas, slamming them down on the front desk and saying, you know, free pizza for residents, right? Come hang out. Why not?
Yeah. And speaking of another slice of pie, right? There's that wasn't planned either, but there's purple. There's a pie graph here from Apartment List. This is pretty exciting. What's their news? What's the news?
Oh yeah. So the rent report came out, and as I look for my notes, which are non-existent right now, of course they disappear on me. There we go. So the 2026 National Rent Report came out. Here's the deal. The national median rent rose 0.5% in April to $1,370. Rents are still down though, year over year, Justin. We're down about 1.7%. So that's kind of interesting. National rents are now about 5% below the 2022 peak, which is, we're still higher than the early 2021 levels though. So what you really want to know is the rents are not exactly back. We're not to this like stabilized stabilized side yet. So we're getting there.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, this is on a national level. So everyone experiences something different depending on where you are, region to region, property to property, neighborhood to neighborhood. The main thing is go grab the report. It's really awesome data. You can snag the QR code right there. And we got some more data in.
Yeah. Some news. Yeah. I mean, I guess from this report, some of the other news makes a lot of sense, right? If our rents are down, what else happens?
Yeah, so it turns out home prices have gone up significantly higher than rent. So it has been, I guess, more advantageous to rent than it has been to buy a home. This is sort of a refrain that's been both anecdotal, but there's qualitative data and there's quantitative data all this up. Basically, from January 2020 to January 2026, home prices went up 54%, whereas rents have only gone up approximately 18%.
Yeah, that's
And that's a
crazy.
huge difference in the ability to afford a home versus rent. And there was, these certain time periods where you could actually get a home with a low interest rate versus now it's very, the interest rates have come down a little bit, but not a lot. So, a lot of folks are still renting, kind of waiting.
Yeah, and I mean, it would have to be, obviously this is across the national level, but it's definitely going to vary from market to market, right? Because, since Charlotte has the widest gap of home prices, so it's going to really depend on, kind of what that gap is, which market you're in.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, if you prefer charts and graphs, I really appreciate how simple this one is. It just demonstrates sort of where we are today. Although I am seeing 19% at the end of this bad boy here, but that's fine. 54%, 19%, right in that range there for rent. But as you can tell, rent is kind of, stabilized and gone down, right? Over the years, we're seeing that data come in there nicely, whereas home prices have just kind of gone,
Yeah.
up and to the right.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of news, lots of things happening. I mean, tons of preemptive, apartmentalized stuff. There's been podcasts of kind of some of the couple new ones that launched, and all of that news. Check it on LinkedIn. It's in the recap that we put out. So you follow me, see the recap, see all the news. But we're gonna pivot to do a recap a little bit because we've been really busy this week.
Yeah, can I do recaps of my recaps that I did this week?
That's very meta, Eric. That's very meta. And then I'll do a recap of those recaps of you recapping the thing that I originally did. It'll be like let's just keep doing it. See how long we can make that go.
It's like Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. Are we in a Marvel movie?
Oh my goodness. Probably.
So what happened this week?
Yeah, so the Multifamily Media Network and MainStage Creative put out a 2-day virtual education summit. This was a lot of fun because we're leading up to Apartmentalize, so we're about 1 month away. And that's a great place to learn about what's happening in our industry. But I think there's, a lot of difficulties for people in FOMO where you miss out. So
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like I didn't go to Huntington Beach. You did. Like I've gone to this one. You don't go there. We can't all go to the same places. And especially if you're on site, you're not even given the invite to go and learn some. And some of these sessions at a lot of these places are geared for people on site, but only a very small fraction actually make it there. So having it virtual meant that you could kind of hop into something you wanted on your lunch break, or you take an afternoon and say, hey, I'm going to listen to this, and you're sitting from your desk or from your somewhere in your house, or just listening to it as you get your steps in and you're going on a walk. It was a pretty cool thing.
Oh, yeah. So I know that the Multifamily Media Network put together, a phenomenal lineup of folks that have spoken, at Apartmentalize before and across the country. And the same kind of people were here. So.
And and Eric and I did. We're listening in on all of this. We exchanged notes. Eric was recapping a lot of it on LinkedIn. I was kind of introducing each one and making sure some of the technical stuff, or people were speaking and talking when they should be, asking some questions. But we noticed about 5 kind of big takeaways or themes, if you will, that kind of came out of all, I guess, 11 sessions over the 2 days. And the first one is AI has officially moved from interesting to infrastructure.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's really true. I mean, depending on the session, there was several sessions specifically on AI, but even the ones that didn't have AI in the title or in the main premise referenced it often. And a thread came up of like, how do we implement it responsibly, effectively, competitively? How do we change it? It's no longer a should we? It's more of we're doing it, or we're starting to do it, or we've done it and we don't like it. And it's touching kind of everything.
Yeah, I appreciate one of the sessions. It was towards the end of day two, even though we're sort of recapping starting in the beginning here. But I appreciated there's kind of like the 4 stages of AI, where it's like this aversion to it, the apprehension, but eventually you move towards a place where you do need to move forward. I think one of the statistics was something around the lines of like 93% or 83% or something like that of organizations are currently using it. But to be frank with you, I'm pretty sure it's 100%. You just don't know
Yeah.
who inside of your company is using it, and you need to set up guidelines and rules so that it's being used in a way that it's can be trusted.
Right, and that was definitely something is sort of putting the structure in place, and not just like in the sense of guardrails or liability, but also purpose. Because I think that was the other thing was, what do we do with it? It's so vast. How are we going to use it? Putting a place of what those goals are, what those KPIs are, and trying to get that outcome, not just the activity of, oh, we're going to use AI. Let's use AI and do what you want with it. It's like we're going to use AI to get X or Y or Z. It was really good, and I think the the more intense the conversations were about it was sort of saying, hey, if you're not using it now, you're risking falling behind. It's another level of risk that there's a risk involved with using it, obviously, and that's where you pull different groups and teams in. But the other side of it is there's a big risk if you're not using it, because as fast as it's moving, you could end up in a year totally not competitively where you need to be, because you weren't using it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at this point, we're beyond the first mouse getting the cheese, or in this case, not getting the cheese, right? You're risking not getting fed at all. So obviously, if you are trying to learn, there's lots of experts right now currently talking about AI in multifamily and real estate and just in general. But it's always helpful to go off and take a course if you want to learn a little bit more. But at the end of the day, Justin, there were a lot of good sessions, right? There was everything from like the state of AI 1 year later, right? I appreciated that, kind of like where we were versus where we are now. I'm starting to see more workshop sessions in AI happening in general in our industry, which is nice.
Yeah, a lot of sessions gave some prompts, either as part of their presentation or after the fact. There was a storytelling session about using AI to actually, create your presentation, your case, whether you're advocating to do something internally or whether you're working with, clients or trying to sell something. It was sort of like, how do you create that sales story or that persuasive story using AI? The human component was really important in that discussion. But yeah, a lot of great stuff. So yes, this AI was in this regard was definitely throughout many sessions. What was one of the other takeaways?
Ooh, really, a lot of folks are talking about still resident experience, right? And how it is really should be the driving point. I mean, it affects everything from renewals to getting leads in the door and actually getting people to take a tour. And that all depends on everything from your brand to the experience that you're providing current residents. And prospects see this, they feel this, right? Even if they're not on site and they're taking a tour, they can tell based off of everything from the website to social media. They're reading Reddit reviews, Google reviews, things of that nature, and they're checking it out,
Yeah.
right?
There was a great quote in one of the sessions that was, the difference between a community versus community. And this is sort of along those lines of like, hey, we're looking for a place that feels like me. So it's not just a matter of convenient or price or, oh, I can tour whenever I want to. Those are obviously standards, but that's like table stakes. Like, how do you differentiate? And I think what kept coming up again and again is that it's really hitting those emotional, identity driven, and ironically or unironically, the human ones, right? They want to improve their life. A resident wants to reduce friction. They want to create a sense of belonging. So all the ways, there were sessions that talked about doing that from like you were saying, the marketing side of it and, encompassing a brand, but also the experience side of it on the amenities and what all those amenities could be, whether they were like a physical thing or just a type of a service.
Yeah. And I really appreciated during one of the sessions where they talked about thinking about your brand and the people that live there, but not the demographics, more the psychographics. Like, are the people who live on your property more Nike people or more Adidas people? And when you break it down to an easy to digest manner like that, you can understand more importantly, like, well, yeah, are the people in my community folks that prefer this sport or that sport, right? Like, are they going to be watching the World Cup? Or are they going to be watching the NBA finals or, the NHL finals, right? Like kind of thinking of both, what are the interests and, what, if you had to put one channel, if you had a big screen sitting by the pool or sitting in a common area and you had to put on one channel for your community, what channel would that be? And I think if you start to think about your brand that way, then you can definitely basically reflect who currently lives there and be more likely to attract people just like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a lot of conversations that kind of repeated the thought of moving from just a transactional housing. I'm going to live here. I'm going to, eat here and rest here and all that, and move towards that experience design. And that opened up the conversation for that identity piece that you were talking about. Yeah. Also, communication's always a topic in a lot of these sessions, but this was underscored multiple times, specifically in the idea of storytelling. That all of these, the ability to communicate, the ability to tell stories, is no longer a like soft skill. It's becoming a strategic business skill, both internally and with your customers.
Yeah, and there were kind of two sessions that talked about this. One of them was talking about using data to do storytelling, right? And how you can incorporate that using ChatGPT or whatever LLM you prefer. And then the other one was more about like selling inside of the organization or selling up. As a vendor, could you sell into multifamily and just, shaping that conversation? So I appreciated those two sessions. Really really informational. These are things that I needed years ago, and I had to sort of trudge through and figure out because I didn't come from corporate. And my challenge was learning how to sell into corporate, to sell up the ladder, if you will, to the C suite. And it's a great, great session if you're trying to upskill.
Yeah, yeah. There was several there were several complimentary sessions, whether by fluke or by design. We'll give Multifamily Media Network a shout out and MainStage Creative and saying they designed all this, right? But there was a lot of things in saying, okay, you need to understand who you're talking to. And there was a whole session on that. How do you sell? How do you do this? And then there was a whole other session on that storytelling to say, once you know who you're talking to, how do you create the story that's good for them? And how do you leverage technology to do it? So when you started listening to multiple sessions, you were able to say, okay, so I need to upsell, I need to sell up, or I need to communicate up to this person, or I need to be able to work with this person, whether I'm coaching them or whether I'm doing something. How do I change my message? And then if I need help doing it, how can AI and how can some of those tools help me? So it was I got to listen to all the sessions constantly. So I heard all of it and it was very, very valuable.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, AI is luckily shaping internal communication as well. I find that fascinating, and I've done it before. I've used AI to craft a message that was very important to, to a CEO or two. It's just nice to get that like bouncing back that feedback. I think
Mhm.
that is important. Another thing I did appreciate during one of the last sessions, which I think we're going to cover here in just a little bit, is talking about, I mean, really just how to manage people better,
Yeah.
right?
Understanding, who you're talking to, how to deliver those
Is
messages.
that
Yeah.
is
So,
that our last recap, or is that, or can I do that now? Can we talk
I
about
mean,
that
no,
now?
it's part of this.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
communication and storytelling for sure.
Love it. All right, perfect. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, one of the last sessions was just about ultimately, trying to use micro learnings. I really appreciated that. Micro learning sessions. If you're a manager or want to be a better manager, try to use micro learning sessions. One of the difficulties is that you'll take an individual contributor and then they're phenomenal at what they do, right? They're crushing it as a sales member. Maybe they're an internal team member working on product or customer success or wherever they are, right? Leasing even. But then when you put them into a management position and you don't train them and give them the tools they need, oftentimes they fail because they're only able to reflect how they have been managed throughout their career, but that's only a small piece of the pie or the
Right.
puzzle.
And it might not necessarily be great, because I think one of the things in that session, right, was that this idea of learning or coaching, as they were calling it, is that notion of coaching is really like opening up untapped potential. And a lot of times, managing isn't necessarily always that, and managers don't always do that. Their KPIs aren't necessarily linked to that, so they focus on doing other things to get that done. So, um, yeah.
Awesome. Well, what else we got here?
Yeah, these are all thematic, so you can talk about any session as you remember it. But another theme that came up a lot was the human element is becoming the real differentiator. Obviously, in terms of when you're leading or communicating, but this was kind of like, this was all over the place in the sense that, that's really what's going to stand out. That's what residents technically want, is that human experience. That even with AI as this powerful, tool, this kind of driving force, making things change very fast, that's actually just increasing the value of humanity.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I not necessarily a contrarian view, but my viewpoint on this is that there's going to be a certain percentage of the renting population that doesn't really want lots of human interaction. They're perfectly fine chatting with AI bots. They don't want to do a phone call,
Y-
right? And then
Right.
there's the other side that's going to do the phone call, wants to be greeted at the front desk when they walk in, every morning, every afternoon, right? We want more of that human interaction. And then there's like this in between where we have this guided, AI augmented side, which helps us operationalize, cut costs, deal with the thousands of inquiries and fraud and everything else that multifamily deals with. Um, and there's like a happy medium, and I think that's where like 80% of multifamily is going to land.
Yeah. And I agree with that, and I won't be really super contrarian, but I think what a lot of what you're describing, right, is not human interaction, but human transaction. And so, like, I don't necessarily want to transact a whole bunch with humans. If I have to like fill out paperwork, like I don't need somebody to necessarily walk me do all that. I can do that digitally. But if I live in an apartment community, if I have kids, I want my kids to know some other kids. I want to be able to like experience the world around me. And not every human loves other humans, but it is a pretty deep-seated need in some way to feel that humanness. So feel like I live and this is my home and I belong here and I'm not just a number. That's still a human feeling, even if it's not indirectly like, work, like talking or mess,
Yeah. Well,
being with.
look, there's something nice about seeing, maintenance manager who's walking out of someone's apartment and you say hi, But then you ask them a quick question like, hey, you fixed a leak the other week and I think it's coming back. Like, do you mind just hopping in and taking a quick look? And it's like, yeah, sure. Like, yeah, I'll just walk in real quick, take a quick look. Okay, this is going to require work order O, or no, you know what? Here's what you need to do. Just go and just tighten this yourself. You could probably fix it. If it doesn't fix, then go ahead and just, pop a work order in, go on the app and do that. But like that level of back and forth humanity, I love and appreciate. And some communities use that and enjoy that and love it. And the maintenance staff and the leasing staff, and they know your kids and your dogs' names, right? That was one of the conversations was like, the difference between, being a community versus being the community is, does a leasing staff know the name of your dog? Do they know what dog treats they like? Do they know that your dog doesn't like the bone treats and it likes those treats like that? These are the things that genuinely keep people attached and keep us in place.
Yeah, somebody wrapped it up in one session that said technology might scale operations, but human connection is the thing that scales trust. And right, that being known, all the things you're describing, definitely that trust is that retention piece. So yeah,
That's right. Well, last but not least here, we're shifting. We're in a shift mode, tectonic plates.
yes. I mean, I think I feel like people probably feel like, well, I haven't hit that yet because multifamily is a very reactive industry. But I think where the standard or where the goal or where what people are talking about is really moving from not just reacting to situations, but being able to predict them or be ready for them.
Yeah. So this talks about everything from, the marketing side, right? Looking at intent-based targeting, looking at platform native creative, looking at audience signals, like what are your prospects doing? What are they looking for? And just
Right.
understanding the behavior of residents better lets us predict things at the end of the day.
Right. Well, right. More data gives us more knowledge benchmarks to make a decisions and predict and say, well, if this is true, right? If this happened this quarter, the last quarter, and the quarter before, I can then make an assumption to do this for whatever. And so you're able to plan events, you're able to design buildings, you're able to hire people based in a way that kind of was different. One of the AI sessions talked about, when artificial intelligence first was introduced was in the 1950s, and sort of that now this last 10 years, everything's been so fast. And this rate is that we're catching up. We're learning things so fast in real time. We're talking about it all the time on podcast, on blog articles and meetings and all this, so that you're able to be more informed. Even though we might feel like we're kept like behind, we're actually getting way more information than what we were doing 10 years ago.
This reminds me of our April 1st episode. We talked about a specific company having a predictive.
Oh, I remember. Yeah. Yeah. It was the April Fool's joke for Elise AI, the predicted resident complaints, right? Yeah.
That's right.
What are
That's
people got to
right.
complain about? You're apologizing. Yeah. I mean,
No,
there's some
and
truth in all jokes, right?
yeah. Well, so Corey Leschel from Sentinel Properties, he's based here in Atlanta. Actually, he is. When in that first session, they talked about how there was going to be construction in some of the apartments, so they gave these like hatch sleep sound,
Hmm.
sleep alarm clock things to the residents who were all around there, and it's like that level of just prediction slash thinking of a resident in a hospitality sense. How can I make their lives that much easier? Very low cost way to prevent complaints and also let the residents know we know that there's going to be something annoying coming up for you.
Right.
We're trying to address it and minimize the impact on you, and here's something to let you know we're thinking of you.
Right. Right. And it's that prediction or that anticipation, right? It's it's huge in hospitality, right? That's a huge thing. But there was another session, right, that had Class B properties, and they were kind of converting amenities, and it's predicting what your residents want based on the types of residents that are moving in. So you're kind of saying, okay, we're going to convert this old laundry room to a pet spa because there's already water there, and that's an easy conversion. So it's not a luxury property. They're not going crazy in the hospitality sense, but it's all these things are leading back to giving that resident experience so that it feels emotional, personal, human, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Justin, we talked a lot about the world of multifamily from our perspective, right? From the operations side of things, a little bit on the ownership side, but I always love to bring it back to what's it feel like to rent these days. And I rented 11 times in 10 years back in my 20s, so it still is burned into my memory. Having to deal with, finding the right place to live, I had a dog the entire time.
Yeah, it's changed a lot for sure. But I rented, but not in I rented in the Northeast. So we didn't have many apartment buildings back then.
Yeah. Well, and I did have a chance to rent in an apartment building, and I don't know if my experience is similar to this one, but I can only imagine what it feels like to rent in 2026. Well, let's take an inside look here.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine.
Sorry I'm late. Got a lot going on.
Yeah, I've been waiting 15 minutes.
It's okay. So, this is a 3-bedroom apartment. And
The fire was just on?
yeah, it's no heat. The heat's not included.
What?
Heat's not.
How much is this again?
$2,800. It's a good little spot right here. You got a great view. You got the highway. Don't mind the mousetrap. The mousetrap is
It's mice?
No.
Is there any history of any mice?
It was a little mouse problem, but it was nothing that I can't fix. It's not like you know what I'm saying, right? It's nothing serious. It was just a little mice.
And are they currently still in the problem?
No. That's actually why I have a mousetrap now for safety protocol. You're fine. You're good.
You're flinging food all over the place.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Safety protocol. Great balcony here. You know what I'm saying? Wait, where you say you work again?
The pharmacy?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hey, how much is this again?
$2,800. You okay? You don't like the price?
No, I don't. I just seen another mousetrap.
Oh, this one? No. Safety protocol. Did you do your application fee? You need to do your yeah. I don't like that fee. You need to do your application fee before we even look at the room. Let's walk back outside. Application fee needs to be done immediately. Safety protocol. $45 mandatory.
Hey, can we talk about the heat?
You just come over here, you press bake, you crank it up to 400, crank the oven open.
That's a lot of shit for $2,800. It's a lot. It's a lot going on in here for $28.
Well, man, we don't have to buy a house. Somebody's gonna buy it. Okay. So you can actually see a way out. It's a lot. It's a lot of $2,800. I don't need that. You're just wasting my time. Ridiculous.
So probably not one of the Apartment All-Star graduates there, right?
No, probably not.
I mean, at the bare minimum, can you not eat when you're talking to somebody you're trying to sell to? I mean, I don't think that's sales 101. I think that's sales like 2. Sales lesson 2. I don't know. I hate hearing people, unless it's like my family or close friends, but like if people are eating and talking to me, it just drives me crazy.
Got it. Well, on that note, Justin.
Yeah,
do it. I hope you have a great weekend.
You get a pass. You get a pass, Eric.
Bye, and enjoy your weekend, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, 2,800. You said
for this, yeah. For you,
okay.
20.